Holy Spirit Village. The sky is getting bright, and the chickens are crowing and the dogs are making noise. The white mist covered the whole village, like a paradise. A child in sackcloth kept wandering in front of a wooden house. This is playing me. It has been almost 6 years since I traveled to Douluo world. Tomorrow is the day when Wuhun awakens. Didn't you say that the traversers all have cheats or systems? Why has my system been refusing to see me? Boom. In my previous life, I was an abandoned house. I only knew how to play games in a rented house and be a pianist in Zan. What if the awakening of the martial soul is a keyboard? I was not born to be a key Douluo. The keyway is like a long night, key. Fighting against 3,000 emperors with only one mouth, pushing the 19 continents with 2 keys. If there are no real immortals in the world, I would like to hold the keys and become an immortal. First there is the keyboard and then there is the sky, and I will spray the heavens and gods. No, 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 the keyboard spirit is too low. Can I just hug Tang San's thigh? Lu Chen looked at the wooden house in front of him and fell into thought for a while. No, although there is no system, there is no guarantee that a powerful martial spirit will be awakened. If this is the case, then there is no need to lick Tang San. Even if it's a useless martial soul, with my modern thinking, can't it rise? Thinking of this, Lu Chen felt much better immediately, and directly pushed the door into Tang San's house. Little Sanzi, is little Sanzi there? Tang San's house was very simple, and all he could see were some dilapidated furniture. Logically speaking, as the only blacksmith in Holy Soul Village, Tang Hao shouldn't be like this, but he never came out of the shadow of his dead wife. He always hated himself for being weak and incompetent, so he could only drink away his worries every day. Blacksmith, do you know where the third son has gone? Lu Chen walked to the room where Tang Hao was, and watched him sleep on his side, snoring loudly. The whole room was filled with a strong smell of alcohol, and there were scattered wine bottles all over the floor. Lu Chen frowned and quickly covered his nose. What a drunkard, with so much money to drink. I don't know how to make the third son fatter, but let the third son be thinner. Hey, a child without a mother is like a grass. Tang Hao. Forget it, I'll go and look for it. Tang San's house has a total of 3 earth embryo houses. The middle one is for daily life, the utility room is on the left, and the hut is on the right. Lu Chen walked to the right without hesitation. In the early morning, the first thing humans do is of course go to the toilet. When he came to the toilet door, Lu Chen knocked on the wooden door with a sly smile. Is little Sanzi there? I have something to do with you. Tang San. Huh? Isn't it here? I just got up in the morning and haven't finished it yet, so I'll take care of it here. Lu Chen was about to push the door and enter, but he heard Tang San's eager voice from inside. I'm here, is it Lu Chen? What can you do for me? Little Sanzi, so you are here. That's how it is. I have something I want to discuss with you face to face. I don't know if it's convenient for you now. Tang San is short of breath. Fang is inconvenient, can't you see it? It's not a good time for me. Is it inconvenient? Then I'll come in. Lu Chen put his hand on the handle of the wooden door, trying to push the door in. It's convenient, I'm convenient now. Tang San yelled anxiously, standing up slightly, holding his trousers in one hand and pushing against the wooden door with the other. This posture made him feel ashamed and uncomfortable. But there was no way, if he didn't push against the wooden door, based on his understanding of Lu Chen, he would definitely come in. As a man in Tang San and his second life, he has never seen such a brazen person. Little Sanzi, didn't you say it's convenient now? What are you doing against the wooden door? You let me in. Lu Chen couldn't stop laughing wildly in his heart, but secretly exerted force with his hands. And look at Tang San, squatting halfway, holding his trousers in one hand, and pushing against the wooden door with the other. Even though he has practiced Xuanchen Baolu and is much stronger than the current Lu Chen, he still can't use his strength at all. Lu Chen, can you talk about it later? It's not convenient for me now. No way, little 3, this is a major event related to my future, Lu Chen said solemnly. Lu Chen. Now, really, inconvenient. Tang San's face turned red, his feet and hands were trembling slightly. There was a little distance between the latrine and the door. Tang San's hand could barely reach the door. His current strength was not strong at all, but the strength coming from the wooden door was getting stronger and stronger, bigger and bigger. In the end, the wooden door was pushed open a small crack by Chase Lu, and Chen Lu saw Tang San's weird posture through the crack of the door, the pinnacle of life, and Chen Lu couldn't stop laughing inwardly. Seeing this, Tang San squatted down like lightning, his legs tightly clamped, his face darkened immediately. The wooden door was opened, but Lu Chen didn't go in, but took 2 steps back. They still have to live together in the future, and it's not good to embarrass Tang San too much without knowing what spirit to awaken. Little Sanzi, tomorrow is the martial soul awakening ceremony. It's a turning point in your life. Are you still in the mood to go to the bathroom? Seeing that Lu Chen didn't come in, Tang San breathed a sigh of relief in surprise, and then said, "Wait for me." Soon. Tang San came out of the toilet. His face was not very good looking, but Lu Chen ignored it directly, and said directly, "Little Sanzi, tomorrow is the Wuhun awakening ceremony. What should I do? I am a little panicked." Tang San looked at Lu Chen strangely, and said with some doubts, "Lu Chen, what happened to you today? This is not like the usual you." "I know, I'm usually a little arrogant and a little hurt. But it's different now. The system has been refusing to see me for a long time, so I'm a little flustered." "You are more than a little arrogant and a little bit hurt. You are obviously not my opponent, but you always look like I am the big brother. But who is the system? Why doesn't it see you?" Tang San asked. "That's not the point, Sanner. If my awakened martial soul is not strong enough, you can't forget me because we are in the same village and grew up together." "Lu Chen, you said some strange things again. We have been together for so long, and I can tell at a glance that you are not an ordinary person. Tomorrow's Wuhun awakening ceremony will definitely be a blockbuster." "Hey, I hope so. I'm probably the only time traveler who is as miserable as I am. What a shame." Circulator. Tang San was puzzled. He didn't understand the meaning of what Lu Chen said, but he didn't take it to heart, because Lu Chen often said some words that he didn't understand. "But I'm also quite curious about what kind of spirit I will awaken tomorrow," Tang San said. "Little Sanzi, I can tell right away that you are not human." "Huh?" Tang San was puzzled. "I'm not human, what is that?" "Why, do you still have to think about whether you are a human? Let's not talk about this. Didn't you once say that you seem to have a special feeling for the blue-silver grass on the ground, so I guessed that your martial spirit must be blue-silver grass is right." When Tang San heard it, his face immediately collapsed. "Lu Chen, why are you cursing me? Even a 3-year-old child knows that Lanyingkao is a standard useless martial spirit. Borrowing what you once said, even if I, Tang San, starve to death, I don't want to waste my martial spirit blue-silver grass." Lu Chen laughed immediately when he heard it. "Sanner, be careful and warn you. Don't talk about it, Lu Chen. It is absolutely impossible for me to fall into the law of true fragrance you mentioned. There are thousands of types of martial arts. The chance of awakening the blue-silver grass is too low. It is absolutely impossible for me to awaken the blue-silver grass. Such a useless martial soul." Lu Chen smiled, nodded and said, okay, you are right. If it's not the blue-silver grass, then I guess it should be the hammer." "Hammer? Why?" Tang San wondered. "Isn't this obvious? Isn't your father a blacksmith? Look at the children in the village who have awakened their martial souls. They are either sickles or hoes, which are exactly the same as their parents' martial souls. So I guess your martial soul should be a hammer with a high probability." "A hammer?" Tang San was thoughtful, and then he said in relief, "It's not impossible to use a hammer, it can just be used to create something I need. If this is the case, Lu Chen, your martial spirit should be a carrot. Just like Grandpa's." "Carrot? I'm not old Jack's grandson. I was picked up by old Jack outside. I don't know if my parents are dead or not. Anyway, tomorrow is the Wuhun awakening ceremony. If my Wuhun is not strong enough, my little 3, you don't forget me." Lu Chen said and patted Tang San's shoulder, and then left directly. What should be said has been said. Looking at Lu Chen who left, Tang San heaved a sigh of relief. Thinking of the embarrassment before, his face was a little hot. That posture was really embarrassing. Lu Chen is good everywhere, but it's too bad. He often does some incredible things beyond normal cognition. Shouldn't have seen it there. Tang San muttered to himself. His right hand unconsciously blocked his crotch. His younger brother was somewhat uncomfortable being watched. With the sun shining and the breeze blowing, the fog that covered the entire Holy Soul village was a little thinner than before. "Oops, I forgot to make breakfast for Dad." As if thinking of something, Tang San hurriedly walked towards the house, and as soon as he entered the door, he was stunned when he saw the scene in front of him. "Are you back?" Tang Hao glanced at Tang San, said indifferently, and then ate the food on the table on his own, but his eyes were aimed at Tang San intentionally or unintentionally, watching his reaction. "Father, what is this?" Looking at the sumptuous meals on the table, Tang San was a little confused for a moment. Where did these meals come from? "Sit down and eat." Tang San sat down obediently. Looking at the sumptuous food on the table, he suddenly felt a little at a loss, and didn't know what to do. Did his father make these? Hey Sanner, I've always been an incompetent father who didn't take good care of you. I hope you don't blame Dad. Tomorrow you will participate in the Wuhun awakening ceremony. Since you want to become a soul master, then Dad will not stop you. I just hope that no matter what the road ahead is, I hope you will go on bravely. Tang Hao said guiltily, looking at Tang San's bewildered look. He owed Tang San too much, seeing Tang San's body was far thinner than his peers. Thinking about what he had done these years, he felt deeply guilty. I only hoped that Tang San would not blame himself for hating himself, only hoped that this table full of braised rabbit meat could make up for what he owed him a little bit. No, Dad. Tang San never blamed Dad. Dad is my only relative in this world. Tang San knows that Dad must have difficulties. He only hopes that Dad can get out of the mist as soon as possible and regain his strength. My dear son, I have suffered for you all these years. I caught a few rabbits early this morning and made you a table full of braised rabbit meat. You are growing up now, eat more. Rarely, Tang Hao stretched out his rough old hand deep inside and touched Tang San's head. Tang San was overwhelmed by flattery, and felt his heart was deeply touched. Is this fatherly love? Is this what it feels like to be cared for? This feeling is good and warm. Looking at the table full of rabbit meat in front of him, Tang San felt warm for the first time, and then picked up a piece of braised rabbit meat and ate it with tears in his mouth. The taste is average, but Tang San thinks this is the best braised rabbit meat he has ever eaten. Well, Dad, your braised rabbit meat is very delicious. Tang San's hand speed became faster and faster and soon filled his mouth. You can eat more if it tastes good, and Dad will make it for you another day. Looking at Tang San, who swallowed the jujube, Tang Hao felt more and more that he really owed him too much these years. Soon, the father and son finished a table of braised rabbit meat. But at this moment, the door was opened, and the village chief, Old Jack, walked in. Good morning, Grandpa Jack, Tang San greeted. Hi, little San, haha, he's such a good and sensible boy. Old Jack said kindly to Tang San, then his expression changed immediately, and he turned his head and said sharply to Tang Hao, Tang Hao, your Tang San is 6 years old. To participate in tomorrow's martial soul awakening ceremony, don't be late. If our holy soul village can produce soul masters, it will be a good thing for Guangzhong Yaozu. It's better to be a chef than to be a soul master, so that Xiao San can cook for me, Tang Hao said deliberately. Sure enough, when Old Jack heard what Tang Hao said, he immediately became furious, and shouted at Tang Hao with a carrot martial soul in his hand. Tang Hao, don't insult the soul master, I want to fight you. Seeing this, Tang San immediately stepped forward and pulled Grandpa Jack. Grandpa Jack, calm down. Dad said that on purpose. Dad has already promised me to participate in tomorrow's martial spirit awakening ceremony. Huh, that would be the best. I will wait for you outside the church with Lu Chen tomorrow. Don't be late. If you miss it, you will have to wait for a year. If both you and Lu Chen can become soul masters, then but it's a good thing for Guangzhong Yaozu. I know Grandpa Jack, I will definitely not be late tomorrow, Tang San said sincerely. Well, then I'll go first, and I have to prepare breakfast for Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun's child has been smart since he was a child, and he will definitely become a soul master tomorrow, and he will definitely become a great soul master in the future. That's Guangzhong Yaozu, it's a good thing. As soon as Lu Chen was mentioned, the village elder Jack showed a satisfied smile. To say that the most promising soul masters in the entire Holy Soul village are undoubtedly Lu Chen, the grandson of his village chief, Old Jack, and Tang San in front of him. But he is more optimistic about Lu Chen, because Lu Chen is his grandson after all, although he picked it up. The next morning, Chase Lu got up at dawn. As usual, the system he was expecting did not appear. That is to say, in the future, whether it can be praised, whether it can be hugged left and right, and whether it can leave an immortal legend in Douluo continent depends on today's Wuhun awakening ceremony. Fortunately, I traveled to the Holy Soul village, and it was Master Su Yuntaosu who awakened the martial soul. Success or failure depends on it. Xiao Chun woke up. Old Jack came to Lu Chen's room and nodded with satisfaction when he saw that Lu Chen had already woken up. Yes, today is the martial soul awakening ceremony. Xiao Chun should work hard. If you can to have a soul master, that's a good thing for the ancestors, Grandpa Jack. You don't know how many times you have said it. After a simple wash and breakfast, Lu Chen and Old Jack set off for the branch hall of the Wuhun temple in the Holy Soul village. It is said to be a branch hall, but it is actually a slightly larger wooden house. Lu Chen was not the first wave to arrive. All the 6-year-old children and their parents before him were waiting quietly outside the Wuhun hall early. Huh. Where's Shaosan's kid? Why hasn't he arrived yet? Old Jack glanced at the crowd and said. Probably making breakfast for his cheap daddy. Nonsense, today is a very important day, he doesn't pay attention to it at all. I'm going to find Tang Hao to settle the score. Old Jack was very angry, and the carrot Wuhun inadvertently took it in his hand. Grandpa, it's better not to worry about it, the youngest son will be here soon. Hasn't the martial soul awakening ceremony started yet? Sure enough, after only waiting for a short while, Tang San trotted over from not far away. Lu Chen, Grandpa Jack. Tang San greeted. Little San, it's good to be here. So there are 9 people together, and the Wuhun awakening ceremony is about to begin. Children, you all come in with me. Under the leadership of Grandpa Jack, a group of 9 people soon came to the main hall of Wuhundian. And there was already a young man waiting there in the hall. Tang San looked over curiously, and Lu Chen couldn't help but look at this legendary figure. I saw that he looked only in his 20s, with sword eyebrows and starry eyes, a tall and straight figure, and he was handsome, almost catching up with me. He was dressed in white formal attire, with a windy cloak on the back, and a fist-sized soul character in the center of his chest. This was the standard attire for staff directly under Wuhundian. There is also a badge on his left chest, symbolizing that he is a battle soul master. Is this the legendary Su Yuntao who was beaten by iron? Lu Chen raised his head slightly. Sure enough, he deserves his reputation. You must speak well later. Feel free to say something ugly. Hello, respected soul master. Oh, no, Mr. Deacon, I will trouble you this time. Old Jack said respectfully to the young man in front of him. Hee, don't be nervous, I don't have much time. Let's start the ceremony now. The village chief, please go out first. After old Jack left, Su Yuntao turned his head to look at the children in front of him and said, I am the deacon of the Wuhun Temple, a level 26 great soul master, and my profession is a battle soul master, and I am your guide. You are going to awaken your martial soul here and test your soul power. Only those with soul power can become soul masters. As he spoke, he took out 6 black stones and threw them into the air, forming a circle on the ground. You line up and enter inside one by one. I will help you awaken your martial soul. Stay where you are and don't move around. Don't be afraid of anything you see later. The children nodded obediently. Tang San just looked at Su Yuntao quietly. Lone wolf possession drinking woof. Su Yuntao activated his soul power, let out a soft drink, and saw 2 hula hoops, one white and one yellow, appear above his head. At the same time, a 3-meter-tall wolf shadow appeared behind him, which was very powerful, and Su Yuntao's eyes also had a dark blue fierce light. This scene immediately scared the other children back a few steps. Only Lu Chen and Tang San did not move. This slight move was immediately seen by Su Yuntao. These 2 children seem to be different, maybe they can become soul masters, Su Yuntao thought to himself. There are 2 types of martial souls, one is the beast martial soul, the other is the weapon martial soul. Of course there are exceptions, there are body martial souls and elemental martial souls, but they are very rare, and my lone wolf martial soul is the beast martial soul. The children nodded in confusion. Su Yuntao didn't say anything, and directly mobilized his soul power to awaken the martial soul of the child at the front. Wuhun. Awaken. Feel it well, comprehend it well, and open your right hand. Suddenly there was a white handkerchief in the right hand of the first child. Handkerchief. I knew it. Your martial soul is a weapon martial soul handkerchief. It can only be used to wipe your nose, right? A martial soul like this with no attack power, no defensive power, and no auxiliary ability is a standard waste martial soul. Even if it has soul power, it can become a soul masters are useless. Su Yuntao said to the child in front of him. But let's test the soul power. As he said that, Su Yuntao took out a blue crystal ball, and then held the crystal ball in front of the child. I saw the little boy directly holding the crystal ball with both hands, but the crystal ball did not respond at all. The little boy didn't seem to give up. He held down the crystal ball firmly. Tears and snot had come out. He just held the crystal ball resolutely, thinking of a miracle happening. Hey, don't drip snot on the crystal ball. Su Yuntao snatched the crystal ball back, frowning and looking at the crystal ball full of tears and snot. Soul power is very important to a soul master. It determines the starting level and talent of a soul master. Only those who have soul power during the awakening period can practice martial arts to become a soul master. Obviously, this kid has no soul power. That means he doesn't have the qualifications to become a soul master. Next. Wuhun, spatula. Soul power, 0. Next. martial soul, sickle, soul power, 0. Next. Underscore. Wuhun, brick, soul power, 0. Next. Underscore, Wuhun, soup bowl, soul power, no next. 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 After testing 7 people in one breath, Su Yuntao panted slightly, and there were no soul masters in 6 villages. The scene in front of him was not beyond his expectations, but he felt very reasonable. He turned his gaze to the remaining 2 children, and found that they were not as nervous as the other children. Interesting, these 2 children are really special, and they hope to become soul masters. Little Sanzi, it's your turn, Lu Chen reminded. Tang San nodded, striding forward very naturally. Tang San was a man of 2 generations. Although he was rather curious about everything in front of him, it wasn't to the point where he was afraid. Tang San stood in a good position, waiting for the awakening of the spirit. At that moment, he felt his body was wrapped in something very warm. Even the Xuanchen Kung Fu started to function unconsciously. As the golden light flashed, the dazzling gold became more and more dazzling than any child before. Seeing this, Su Yuntao's eyes suddenly lit up. He vaguely felt that he was about to witness the awakening of a powerful martial soul, and his excitement was beyond words. It would be a lie to say that he was not excited. Sure enough, I read correctly, this child is really not simple, his martial soul is blue silver grass. Underscore, it's another useless martial soul. Sure enough, no golden phoenix can emerge from the chicken coop. It seems that the Holy Soul Village is also a waste of time this time. Tang San looked at the blue-silver grass in his hand, his face darkened suddenly. Lu Chen, you crow-mouth, opened your mouth, right? Just yesterday, Lu Chen said that he wanted to hug his thigh, but turned around and said that his martial spirit was blue-silver grass. It doesn't matter if the mouth hurts a little, Tang San has gotten used to it these few years, but why did he get it right? But at this moment, Tang San felt his left hand move slightly, as if something was about to rush out, but he forcibly pressed it down. Uncle, won't you test my soul power? Blue-silver grass, it's just a useless martial soul. How could there be soul power? I don't think it's necessary. Next. Su Yuntao said lightly. Uncle, just give him a test, anyway, it won't waste much time, Lu Chen said. Su Yuntao turned his head to look at Lu Chen, pondered for a moment and said, well, according to the usual practice, no matter what kind of martial spirit it is, a soul power test is required, so put your hand on the crystal ball. Tang San obediently put his hand on the crystal ball, and the next moment he felt that the Xuanchen Kung Fu was working on its own, and the internal force in his body was quickly absorbed by the crystal ball. At that moment, a dazzling brilliance erupted from the calm crystal ball, and everyone was blinded by the dazzling blue light. It has appeared, SSR, Lu Chen said with narrowed eyes. What happened? The village chief, Old Jack, suddenly broke in from the outside. It's the 10th stage of soul power, innately full of soul power. A person who can reach the highest state of soul power in the awakened state of the martial soul is a peerless genius, but why is it blue-silver grass? Woolen cloth. Su Yuntao couldn't get back to his senses for a long time. He looked at Tang San with both shock and disappointment, and also felt pity. Master Deacon, what is innate full soul power? The village elder, Old Jack, looked at Tang San, and then at Su Yuntao. If you want to become a soul master, you must have soul power. The few children before were unable to cultivate martial souls to become soul masters because their martial souls did not have soul power. Even if their martial souls had a little bit of soul power, they could become a soul master. Innately full of soul power is the highest state of soul power that can be achieved when the martial soul is awakened. It is rare to meet such a person in 100 years, and there are only a handful of people with innate full soul power in the entire Douluo continent. At the same time, innate full soul power represents the qualifications of a soul master. The higher the qualification, the faster the cultivation speed, and the higher the starting point, and you can directly obtain the first soul ring, and be promoted from a soul warrior to a soul master. Tang San. Guangzong Yaozu, hahaha, God open your eyes, after so many years, a soul master finally appeared in my holy soul village. Old Jack shouted excitedly, waving the carrot spirit in his hand wantonly. Don't be too happy. Although he is congenitally full of soul power, his martial soul is blue-silver grass. Soul power is gone. Su Yuntao seemed a little frustrated. If his spirit was not blue-silver grass, even if it was just a sickle, if he could be recruited into the spirit hall, then he would. Tang San looked at the blue-silver grass in his hand, and remained silent for a long time. Is the blue-silver grass really a waste spirit? No. There is no waste spirit, only waste soul masters. Even blue silver grass has its own advantages, all-encompassing, endless, not to mention, I seem to have another. And old Jack has been the village chief for so many years, how could he not know what the blue silver grass martial spirit represents? He sighed, expressing his pity, looking at Tang San who was standing still, thinking that he was feeling dejected, and hurriedly stepped forward to comfort him. Little San, don't be discouraged, although it is blue silver grass, it is also a soul master, right? Tang San nodded, and stepped back. Lu Chen, you are poisonous, you were hit by your crow's mouth, Tang San said to Lu Chen with some resentment. Haha, coincidence, it's just a coincidence, the spirit is innate, and I can't decide, and what you said yesterday, even if you, Tang San, starve to death, don't waste the spirit of the blue silver grass. You said what should we do now? This. Lu Chen, it's your turn to awaken the martial spirit, you have to work hard. Epsilon, Tang San quickly changed the topic. Lu Chen nodded, without saying anything, and stood among the 6 black stones. The last one is left, and I have to rush to the next village. It is worthwhile to witness the appearance of Shenshin full of soul power today, but in this case, there is a high probability that we will not see it in the future. Shenshin is full of soul, even the top sects might not have the power. Haha, Brother Dao is well said. I accept your good words. Be careful. Come on, I'm ready. Lu Chen laughed, waiting for your words. Su Yuntao. The martial soul awakening ceremony continued. Su Yuntao circulated his soul power, and the golden light enveloped Lu Chen completely. This feeling is very comfortable, like flying. Although he did fly, Lu Chen didn't feel it at all at this time. He was completely immersed in his own spiritual world and was traveling in his own spiritual world. It was nothingness, so large that Lu Chen couldn't see the edge at a glance, empty and chaotic, and silent. Suddenly, Chase Lu saw a spot of light not far away. The spot of light was colorful and really beautiful. He floated over, and when he got closer, he realized that the light spot was actually a huge sphere. A terrifying energy that made his heart palpitate to the point of horror was brewing in the sphere, like a scourge, or like the sky collapsing. At this moment, Lu Chen felt his own insignificance. No, it seemed that everything seemed insignificant in front of it. Time passed bit by bit, and the energy in the light ball became more and more explosive, as if it would explode in the next second. Although Chase Lu knew that all of this was just an illusion, the sense of oppression from the ball of light in front of him still made him feel scared for a while, and wanted to hide away. What's going on here? Isn't it the awakened martial soul? Why'd I see such a scene? Lu Chen was puzzled. Just now, each of them was very silky when awakening the martial soul, accepting the guidance, just open their right hands and wait for the martial soul to emerge by itself, and this process is very fast. But why did he inexplicably enter his own spiritual world? And there is a ball of light in his spiritual world that contains incomparably terrifying energy? Time passed quietly, and nearly 10 minutes had passed in the outside world. Lu Chen, who was wrapped in golden light, was still floating in the air, his eyes were closed, and he looked calm and serene. He didn't seem to be awakening his martial soul at all. Deacon, what's going on? Why hasn't Xiaochun awakened his martial soul yet? Old Jack was full of worry. He only felt relieved when he saw that Lu Chen was fine, but he still couldn't bear it. Live to ask Su Yuntao. On the other hand, Su Yuntao was already sweating profusely and his teeth were clenched. The awakening of his martial soul had already consumed most of his soul power. What he didn't expect was that this last one had an accident. I don't know, I've never seen this kind of situation. Su Yuntao said with difficulty that the awakening of the Wuhun did not stop when he wanted to. Now it is not he who guides Lu Chen, but Lu Chen who is constantly guiding his soul power. The soul power he has left now can last for a few more minutes at most, and it will be gone after a little longer, not a single drop will be left. In Lu Chen's spiritual world, the ball of light was still brewing with terrifying energy. During this period, Chase Lu found that as the energy of the ball of light became more violent, the ball of light was twice as large as before. On its surface, Chase Lu could even clearly see the cracks on it. This mysterious ball of light seems to be about to explode. This is my spiritual world. If it really explodes, what should I do if it blows me into an idiot? Do you want a baba in the future? Lu Chen was a little scared. Why did a good martial soul awakening become like this? It shouldn't be Lu Chen's martial soul awakening and evolution, Lu Aocean. But the current situation is Lu Chen's martial soul awakening and evolution Lu Aba? He died young. I would rather not travel through time and be an abandoned house than be a fool. God, are you playing with me? Just as Lu Chen thought, with the expansion of the light sphere, the cracks on the light sphere have become quite obvious, and various rays of light shoot out from the cracks, forming beams of light. The ball of light is about to explode. You're going to explode. Lu Chen yelled in horror, and was then swallowed by the strong light. Outside world. Su Yuntao's face was quite pale at this time, as if his body had been hollowed out. This soul power has been sucked dry, and there is not a single drop left. Seeing this, the others didn't know what to do except to be anxious. Old Jack, the village head, even waved the carrot Wuhun, walking back and forth in the Wuhun hall. Tang San on the side also frowned, which was completely different from their martial soul awakening situation. Lu Chen, I have long seen that you are not an ordinary person, although you are usually a little arrogant and your mouth is a little damaged, but I still hope you're okay. At that moment, when Su Yuntao's body was completely hollowed out, with Lu Chen as the center, a powerful energy burst out from Lu Chen's body. Everyone in the Wuhun hall was pushed to the ground by this energy. In the spiritual world, after everything returned to calm, Lu Chen opened his eyes. In the center of that chaos, 6 gemstones of different colors are quietly floating in the void. That's that. What? Lu Chen was puzzled, and controlled his body to lean forward. Getting closer, Chase Lu finally saw clearly what was floating in the center of the chaos. Those are 6 gorgeous gems. Looking at them, Chase Lu seems to have seen the supreme power in this world. From the 6 gems, each Chase Lu felt unparalleled power. As if feeling something, the 6 infinite gems suddenly flew towards Lu Chen's direction at a high speed, one after another, and fell into Lu Chen's body in an instant. Boom! Lu Chen's consciousness roared continuously, his 6 senses were directly closed, and his brain almost made him dizzy. I don't know how long it has passed, maybe it was a moment, or maybe it was eternity. When Chase Lu opened his eyes again, he had left the mental space and returned to reality. Huh? Why are you all lying on the ground? Lu Chen just opened his eyes and saw the dramatic scene in front of him. Lu Chen, you just exploded. Tang San got up from the ground and rubbed his chest. Little Sanzi, what are you talking about? Are you drifting away? Or is it you, brother Lu? I can't lift a knife anymore. Lu Chen gave Tang San a white look. Oh, my old bones. Old Jack also got up from the ground, but soon put his eyes on Lu Chen's right hand. Xiaochun, what is your martial soul? Hearing what old Jack said, Lu Chen put his eyes on his right hand, and the eyes of others also gathered. I saw 6 gorgeous gemstones slowly rotating around Lu Chen's wrist, like a string of beautiful gemstone bracelets. This is infinity. Infinity gems. Lu Chen's eyes widened and he stuttered when he spoke. He only felt that his brain seemed to be congested and his breathing was a little short, but he still lacked oxygen. Impossible, absolutely impossible. What kind of treasure is an infinite gemstone? A single one is at least a single universe-level treasure. How could it be presented in the form of a martial soul? This is too ridiculous, isn't it fake? But to say that these 6 infinite gems are fake, but the information they fed back to Lu Chen is exactly the same as the 6 on Thanos' gloves in Lu Chen's memory. Not only that, but now that Lu Chen is the owner of the infinite gems, he can truly feel the vastness and terrifying energy contained in these 6 infinite gems. All of these seem to tell him that this is not fake. Little Saner, Lu Chen spoke a little weakly. What's wrong with Lu Chen? Tang San stepped forward and said. Help me, what's wrong, Lu Chen? You've sucked up Master Su. Why are you still so vain? Saying so, his body still supported Lu Chen honestly. Shu? Lu Chen stared wide-eyed, looked at Tang San and said again, you brother Lu, I am invincible. Lu Chen, are you crazy? There are countless powerful people in the world, who dare to say that they are invincible. What do you know? Today is different from the past. Even if I hold Tang San in my hand and carry Tian Yuan on my back, dog leash, I, Chen Lu, are still invincible in the world. Lu Chen, I think we should keep our distance. Tang San took a few steps back after speaking.